Andrew Woodhouse, of course, is a well-known local with a strong activist record on responding to developments around King's Cross. I worked with Andrew on the preservation of Juanita Nielsen's terrace home in Victoria Street, and Andrew was successful in having that terrace house listed on as a heritage item. Andrew, of course, is well known for much more than this. So, Andrew, I welcome you.
About this DA, says Mr. Sam Anu, Iris Capital Chief Executive Officer. He's been invited here with plenty of written notice, but now says no one is available. But owning 13 pubs and with a large number of staff handling over 12 other major DAs, I challenge this claim. He's got nothing to lose by coming if he's got nothing to hide, I suggest. He says King's Cross is decaying. The DA will significantly improve and renew the area. It will revitalise Potts Point and create more of a village atmosphere. It will be a great complement to the city, he claims. But to make it commercially available, he needs to build apartments. I challenge all these presumptions. I say King's Cross is not decaying or dead. It is, though, less deadly now that life-saving lockout laws have come into effect. Look at Darlinghurst Road on the site of the DA. There's a chemist, a bar, small shop, backpackers hostel and the Empire Hotel. On the opposite side, there's a travel agency, ice cream shop, French cafe. They're all doing fine. They add interest and cater to local needs. This DA won't add anything we don't already have in Potts Point or King's Cross, the area's real name, which is in fact a precinct within a suburb. If they do have to build apartments, these should be compatible with the area's heritage characteristics, village streetscape qualities and planning laws. But they are not. We want villages, but not pillages. We don't mind development, but it needs to be improvement, not just another money-motivated, high-rise, ticky-tacky block of glossy glass boxes. The current sites exist in the shadows of our rich history. History is the important story of our past, even if nothing remains. And heritage is what's left, the tangible, touchable, significant building fabric we want to keep for our future. This is a very important point. The remnant hotel, Empire Hotel and Backpackers will remain, apparently, but not the Bourbon with its 19th century tessellated pattern tiles, 2 stories of white arches, Corinthian columns, balustrades and verandas. This architectural and historical heritage with its setbacks is well worth saving, I suggest. The development calls for the demolition of buildings from Blake's Pharmacy near the El Fountain through to the Empire Hotel. Blake's Pharmacy has serviced the area for 35 years, but the bulldozers are coming. Fountain Medical Practice is the only one in the area whose doctors offer home visits for older people. It will be demolished. And the site will be replaced with a 9-storey building with 83 so-called luxury apartments. It's what I call a leech building. It sucks the soul out of its urban context. The quality of the design is a Lego-like, banal design. It is overbearingly bland with no streetscape interpretive features or value. It's a slavish pastiche with no unique characteristics. It doesn't respond to its heritage or historic urban context in terms of design, materials, height, scale or style, and has no relationship to its heritage conservation area's plan of management. Construction will take at least 3 to 4 years or more, not the 26 months claimed in the developer's online documents. Local MP Alex Greenwich says, and I quote, "The question is whether this DA is the tipping point for the Cross, where venues that added to the diversity and vibrancy of our city are replaced with large residential developments," unquote. But there will still be room enough for drinking patrons. The plans propose 1,395 square metres of bars and clubs, enough for over 1,000 people at once. Poor Barcluth Lane is already choked with overflowing garbage bins, trucks and tradie vehicles. Adding 101 car spaces to the development whose garage will exit and enter from Barcluth Lane will only create havoc and is an unsustainable proposal. During construction, residents and shopkeepers will suffer from 7 AM to 4 PM from noise, road closures, dust, jackhammers, cranes, cement trucks, possible use of explosives and possible toxic asbestos. The whole King's Cross area needs its own master plan. Council's obvious lack of planning for King's Cross is a two-fingered salute to the community. People want a sense of history and community in the area, a sense of identity and place. If you take away the fabric and the sense of place, then part of their sense of belonging and community ID is stolen from them. This DA is theft. After all, residents have a right to live in their chosen environment. There are many breaches of the planning rules relating to this DA. So many, in fact, that I don't think it is a DA. In fact, it's an EA, what I call an exploitation application. The site is an integral part of the heritage conservation area, which in itself is a heritage item. And the Bourbon is listed as a contributory item within that heritage item. Council's own heritage conservation area listing says that Darlinghurst Road, the built form is prominently 3 to 4 stories. So the proposals double the predominant height. It adds that increased density should be discouraged. The Heritage Conservation Area Rules by Council says that increased density should be discouraged on this site. And it says, and I quote, subdivision must not allow amalgamation of sites. Scale and building form and original roof forms are to be retained. Alterations must respect scale and form of current buildings and reinforce the area's landscape characteristics. Further development should be restricted. And it goes on to say, contributory buildings, such as the Bourbon, should be retained and conserved. There shall be no vertical additions to such building and no alterations to the facade. Other buildings should be enhanced, it says. So this DA breaches over 14 of Council's own heritage conservation area rules. It cannot possibly be described as having design excellence. It also breaches Sydney's LEP clause 5.10, which is designed to conserve the heritage. It says the plans must conserve heritage conservation areas, including associated buildings. Even the developer's own heritage consultant says, and I quote, the Bourbon site remains largely intact with feature characteristics. I agree with that. The DA breaches the number of stories controlled and the absolute numerical height control of 22 metres. The applicant admits, and I quote, at least 60% of apartments are naturally cross-ventilated in the first 9 stories of the building, admitting that the building is actually 9 stories high. This exceeds the 6-storey height limit applying to this site. Planning controls require a minimum of 50% direct sunlight to the communal space area. The developer admits that only 15% of communal open space will receive sufficient solar access. So there's no design excellence here. Yet design excellence in the Sydney LEP clause 6.2 says, and I quote, the consent authority must not grant development consent to development unless it is satisfied that the proposed DA exhibits design excellence. On that basis alone, I say Council must refuse the DA. So in summary, the DA breaches about 7 clauses in the LEP, 8 or 9 in heritage controls, 14 conservation area controls, height controls, number of story controls, 8 design excellence provisions, 2 of its own locality statement requirements, and 3 DCP controls. It all adds up to about 40 breaches of Council's own planning controls. The whole DA is therefore unsustainable. The proposal itself seems to me to have more holes in it than a piece of Swiss cheese. and so it cannot satisfy the overarching legal requirements of Section 79C of the Environmental Planning Assessment Act in terms of site suitability, social, environmental and heritage effects, and any DA contrary to the public interest. I urge you all to support the resolutions in full being put to this meeting, and I plead with you to lodge an objection to Council next Wednesday and send this strong message to councillors saying it's okay to say no.